I would like you to write down on your boards, maybe one board between two, because I want you to do it together. And I would like you to write down any questions that you have about what you see there. And I'm just going to read the blurb on the back to you. 1 second. The Iron Man came to the top of the cliff. Where had he come from? Nobody knows. How was he made? Nobody knows. So on your board with your partner, having a conversation and using the questioning. Can you find the questioning here? Asking questions. Can you write some questions that you would like to ask or you would like to find out? What do you want to know? Right, I have spotted some really good questions on my journey, so I am going to come around and just read some from people's boards. What is the Iron Man's real name? I really like that because he probably isn't just called the Iron Man, is he? He must, or does he have a real name? So it's a good question. Well done, Sienna. I'm going to go to Peter. How big is the Iron Man? Really good question, Peter, because from the picture, he looks pretty big, doesn't he, on there compared to the human that's on there. And I think, Peter, that we're going to find that out when we read the book. We've got one here, and I really like this question because I've always wanted to know this. Who made the Iron Man? Who made the Iron Man? Well done. Right, we're going to move on now. So just some background information, because we're going to need to know these things. The Iron Man. So this is what iron looks like. Iron is a metallic element. And you can see there it's sort of a greyish colour and it rusts quite easily, iron. But it's used to make things like railings. I'm sure you've all seen lots of these railings as you go around. So that's what iron is. So the Iron Man is a big metal creature made of iron. Well, I'm predicting he's made of iron. These are headlamps. So all your cars have headlamps nowadays, but in the times that the Iron Man was written, they were a bit like this. So they were big and round. Yes, Peter?
Did he use them for his eyes?
Well, we'll find out, won't we? Yes, I think you've read this before, so yes. So headlamps, and they do look a bit like eyes, don't they? Yeah. So that's what headlamps are. And then a crab. We come across a crab somewhere in this, and that's what a crab looks like if you haven't been to the beach before. So this is one that you'll see coming out of the sand, and that's what it looks like, sort of upside down, underneath the belly of the crab. So, the coming of the Iron Man is the name of the first chapter. So I'm going to predict, very obvious prediction, that one of the characters is an Iron Man. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah? And we're about to meet him, and I also predict that he's made out of iron.
Yes.
But they are really obvious predictions, aren't they? But I'm also imagining that the Iron Man isn't a superhero. Somebody mentioned the Marvel superhero Iron Man before. I don't think he's going to be that sort of superhero. I don't think he's going to be a Spider-Man, Batman, Superman type of superhero, hands down. I think, you know, from the picture, he looks like a big creature just made out of iron, and I can't imagine that he's got much of a superpower. So Hogarth's father again got back into his car, but as he turned the car in the yard, he saw a strange thing in the headlamps. Half a tractor lay there, just half, chopped clean off, the other half missing. He got out of the car, very brave, and the other farmer came to look too. The tractor had been bitten off. There were big teeth marks in the steel. No explanation. The two men looked at each other, puzzled and afraid. What could have bitten a tractor? We all know what a tractor is. What could have bitten a tractor in two? Right, I'm going to make a prediction. So it's my turn. I'm going to predict that it was the Iron Man that bit the tractor in two. Only he is big enough. And now I'm starting to change my prediction from the beginning. So do you remember at the beginning I said I predicted that the Iron Man was made out of iron? A bit obvious. But actually, maybe, what if the Iron Man eats iron? Because what are tractors made of? Metal. Yeah, so he might eat iron or metal. So that's my new prediction. I'm starting to think. And it says there's teeth marks in the steel, and I know that steel is actually made up with a bit of iron in it. It's a metal that has many different metals in it. It's made up of lots sort of mixed together, and one of them's iron. So maybe he eats iron. Right. We're just going to clarify the word wheeling. And I talked, if you put your hands down, I'm just going to use our example, guys, because we figured it out together, and we figured it out together, didn't we? Wheels, what do wheels do? Wheel is the root word. A lot of you were saying ing. Put your hands down. Hands down. A lot of you were saying ing is the root word. Ing isn't a root word. Does ing make sense on its own? If I went up to you and said ing, you're going to think I'm crazy, aren't you? Ing isn't a root word. The root word is wheel, and wheels go round and round and round. Wheels spin. So I can change wheeling to spinning. So while the stars went on spinning through the sky, so that's how we worked that out together. I'm just going to clarify one of the words that are here though, because I really like it. Towering. So towering, I'm going to think back. I'm going to find the root word, which is tower. I know what a tower is. Like when you think about the fairy stories and it's a princess in the tower. Yes, a tower is a really tall building, isn't it? A tall, tall building. So if I close my eyes, I can imagine him towering in the twilight. Because he's so tall, that just means that it's this big thing, towering really high, in standing tall in the twilight. And twilight's when it's starting to go dark at the end of the day. Right, so I'm just going to do a bit of summarising. So we've read one of the chapters. So the first chapter was about the Iron Man appearing, and he appeared from nowhere. He then fell down a cliff, broke into pieces, put himself back together, and then walked out into the sea. So I have summarised that whole chapter really quickly then, didn't I, and succinctly. And if I was to summarise my summary, to make it even shorter, I'd say the Iron Man mysteriously appeared and then just as mysteriously disappeared. And that's what happened, isn't it, in that first chapter? He came and then he went again. coming of the Iron Man. The Iron Man came to the top of the cliff. How far had he walked? Nobody knows. Where had he come from? Nobody knows. How was he made? Nobody knows. Right, I'm going to stop to use my evaluating strands here. So I'm thinking that I really like the way the author creates mystery here. I feel it's really mysterious, this part. He asks us questions, doesn't he, about the Iron Man? And then each time, what does he reply? Nobody knows. And then he says it again. Nobody knows. And because he says it twice, it makes me think, okay, really, because he's repeated it, he's used repetition, that actually, genuinely, nobody knows, because he said it several times. So I think that using short sentences there and sort of those questions creates that sense of mystery, and it creates a sense of suspense. Right. Taller than a house, the Iron Man stood at the top of the cliff, on the very brink in the darkness. Right. Taller than a house. If I think about it, it is a simile. Taller than a house. And I know Peter asked as one of his questions, how big is he? Well, he's taller than a house. And I think this is really useful information to know, because I can compare. I don't know how big an Iron Man is, but I know how big a house is. Okay, and I know that he's taller than that house. So this simile that's been used helps me to visualise it. I can close my eyes and I can see that the Iron Man is taller than a house. And then he uses a really good word there, brink. He stood at the top of the cliff, on the very brink in the darkness. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to think about my posters here. I'm going to close my eyes because I've never heard of this word before. I'm going to close my eyes and make a picture. So he stood on the very brink in the darkness. Okay, I think it means the edge. I've imagined it in my head. He swayed in the strong wind that pressed against his back. He swayed forward on the brink of the high cliff. I'm just going to stop there. I really like that because I can imagine him swaying. This is what it's like to sway, isn't it? So I can see it in my head. It's really good imagery. And I really like the repetition. So he repeats, doesn't he, the word swayed. He says it twice. So he's not just swaying a little bit. He's really swaying, isn't he? And it really makes me feel a bit nervous because he's teetering on the edge, because he's on the brink of the cliff, on the edge of the cliff, and he's swaying. So I'm going to make a prediction here. I predict that he's going to fall off.
I don't know if he's going to fall
Yeah,
off.
who agrees with me? Yeah. The return of the Iron Man. One evening, a farmer's son, a boy called Hogarth, was fishing in a stream that ran down to the sea. It was growing too dark to fish. His hook kept getting caught in weeds and bushes. So he stopped fishing and came up from the stream and stood listening to the owls twit-twoo in the woods further up the valley and to the sea behind him. Hush, said the sea, and again, hush, hush, hush. I'm going to stop there. I think it's really clever that the way that Ted Hughes there uses alliteration on the sh sound. He repeats that sh sound, doesn't he? Hush, said the sea. And again, hush, hush, hush. That makes me feel really relaxed and really sleepy. Almost like when I was little and my parents used to hush me off to sleep. Hush, hush, hush. Suddenly, he felt a strange feeling. Wow, I don't feel so relaxed now. Suddenly, that sort of jolts me. I don't feel calm anymore. Now I know something's going to happen, because whenever the word suddenly is used, we know something's on its way, don't we? So suddenly, he felt strange. He felt like he was being watched. He felt afraid. Right, if we look at the board or on your book, he's using lots of short sentences here. Suddenly, he felt a strange feeling. He felt he was being watched. He felt afraid. I think these short sentences work really well here because they create like this sense of tension, this sense of urgency and mystery, and it really does contrast with that lovely calm feeling that I just felt a moment ago. The mood has all of a sudden changed. It's not calm anymore. Something is about to happen.